Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fallout Roundtable. This is a place where diverse individuals discuss various topics from the Fallout universe. Join us, the conversation has already started.
Welcome to another episode of the Fallout Roundtable. I'm your host, Maverick Stone, and today, we have a party today, folks. First, let's introduce Jaxus, Gingerino, Sassy Lady, Romer. The gang's all here. And now, our special guest from the Fallout 5 new responders. Everyone, just say hello.
All at once.
Hello.
Hola.
There are many of
Hello.
us here.
Good evening. Yes, we do have a party.
Good evening.
Someone's
goodbye.
listening. Is like, oh, I
Good
know who that
evening.
was.
Hello.
If you like what we're doing, all this tomfoolery, all this wonderfulness, why don't you rate, review, subscribe to our YouTube channel? We have a Twitter at Fallout RTB. You can send us a message on our Gmail, falloutrtb@gmail.com. We always answer back. Now, if I'm not missing anything, Sassy Lady, why don't you take over the show? Go for it.
All right. So let's start out with our special guest today. We have the Fallout 5 with us. Let's start with Lucy, and I'll let you introduce your gang here.
All right. Well, hello. I am Lucy, otherwise known as the Scald, and these are some of the members of the Fallout 5 new responders. We have from command staff, we have Mama Modus, and then from the membership, we also have Monty Wildhorn, and we have Alex Midnight, and cadets Goddess Nerd Haley, and of course Tom Houston. So here we are.
I gotta say, I love the name Alex Midnight. I'm just nerding out over there right now.
I do too. I really do. It just brings out everything.
Okay. All right. So tell me just, give me your elevator pitch on what the Fallout 5 new responders is.
The elevator pitch. The Fallout 5 new responders originally started as a group of friends, my husband, myself, and some of our friends who just started playing the game in beta. And we happened to put on the responder uniforms one day. And we're like, hey, look, there's 5 of us. It's like the 5-0. Ha ha ha. And then we just kind of put it up on social media, and it went from there. And we suddenly realized that what we were doing was essentially role playing in the game, or taking the environment, taking things that were happening in the game, the stories that were already embedded there, and expanding on them, making our own, to the point now where here we are at this stage of 76, and we've kind of just become this giant thing where we have in-game role play events and competitions and questing, where we either create something completely original from whatever our characters are, to hosting stuff for community members, where we create roles for ourselves, for our characters to play, simply like actors as NPCs in the game, except we call them RPCs, real player characters, that we take people from the community through events, and we give them kind of a unique, essentially a quest, a whole experience where instead of interacting with NPCs, they're interacting with us from point A to point B. So we've done that, and we're also content creators with Machinima, Machinima lore, and storytelling and writing. I mean, just it's kind of all over the place.
A whole package, it sounds like. Wow.
Yes.
Very cool. So so that's just kind of how you were born, right? So how do you recruit other people besides the basic 5 people that it started out with?
Sure. Valerie, you want to take that over?
Sure. I actually put out cookies and they come running.
That works.
Actually, we have a process by which we get to know people through. Yes, cookies are wonderful ways to get people into a group. You just bribe them with cookies. But we have this process by which we get to know people by playing in the game sometimes. If we're doing role play in area, some people do hear that and they get curious and they want to know a little bit more about us. Or perhaps on social media, on Twitter, people will see our posts and they'll be a little curious, want to know more about us. So sometimes they come in game, they'll come to our armory nights, they'll interact a little bit more. People will actually sometimes join the Discord as a volunteer. That gives them a chance to get in on some of the events that we happen to have, or they can even create their own events if they'd like to. They can look at some of the role play that's being written and interact and engage in that. And, you know, if it's something that they want to do, then we can talk to them about joining up as a cadet and going through that process. But it's really just kind of getting out into the community and getting to know people and letting them engage and letting them see that there is so much that you can actually do with this game besides what's actually there. And, you know, helping them grow with their character development and the stories that they have to share with everybody. And it's such a fun process, really.
It sounds like so when you have somebody come in like as a cadet, what is the process there?
Okay, so we have cadets right now on both Xbox and PlayStation. So they'll come in as a cadet and they'll participate in several things. There'll be some classes which will teach them how we will role play in game. So they'll learn how to, say, interact, let's say, like a medical class, where if they're role playing, say, a responder and walking into, say, an emergency situation, they'll know how to do the role play in that sort of way. There'll be also various events that they can join where they can see how events can be created in different ways. So we like to try to give them a roundabout experience of the various things that they can do. They engage in the Discord doing some writing, and over probably a period about 2 months or so, give or take, they'll also create a journal and share their experiences. So they'll take photos, write up a little thing. It's all done really kind of on a casual level. We want everybody to have fun, and we also want to take the opportunity to get to know the various players to make sure that they're, you know, a good fit with us and that we're going to meet their needs as a role player. So it's, you know, we have maybe cadet classes every season, like maybe seasonal, give or take.
That sounds
Alright.
pretty cool. You said you have cadets on here right now. What, Tom and who else?
And
She-
Goddess, yeah.
And Goddess.
Yeah.
Okay, do you
Mhm.
guys want to talk about like what you're doing right now? Give us your thoughts.
I mean, do you want Tom? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Do you want the upper elites to go first so you can be honest, or
I got some
Just
stuff.
kidding.
Straws, flip coins.
Do I need to
Counting
take your
down.
cookies?
Yeah, yeah, she's gonna take your cookies if you're
I
not
won't take your
nice.
cookies.
Absolutely. I will. I'll take them.
She also has muffins. Take her
Damn,
muffins.
fighting words.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, the cadet period is a lot of it is characters getting to meet each other. It's also the cadet journal is one of the bigger parts of where you're solely documenting your time, whether it be documenting your actual character's experience or kind of taking it in and out of the character's experience. But
Also
a lot of
vetting, I would assume it's also a vetting part to find out who's serious
yeah,
about
I
it.
mean,
Like you're
I
actually
mean,
doing it.
yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways it is, and it's also because especially for our characters, it's those first kind of meetings and first kind of interactions. So it's really important for that as well.
Because because, you know, we do so much content creation, those journals, which typically happen at the very end, or the last thing that we ask cadets to do in their process, they really are representative of the fact that we're more than just role play. Like that's a huge chunk of us, and that defines a lot of what we do. But understanding that the kind of the mechanics behind role play, understanding the mechanics behind your character, getting to know your character, because sometimes people kind of come to us and they're like, oh, I kind of have this loosey-goosey kind of idea of what I want to do, but hopefully by the end of the experience they've really kind of shored up who their
Right.
character is, how they interact, how they perceive the world, the different people in the world. And that journal is a way to kind of demonstrate between the different pictures that they end up choosing and the little blurbs that they write for each picture, kind of demonstrate that growth of them as a character. And then of course shows us that they are committed to this concept that RP and content creation kind of go hand in hand, because we are creating stuff for each other. Like we're not just always getting in the game and like, well, we'll just go to Crater and role playing Crater. I mean, we do that. That's called organic RP, but we also are constantly creating events for each other. Like anybody in our Discord is able to create an event for each other, but we really encourage the members and the cadets to create events that they run, that they have a beginning, middle, and end. We teach them that process, or some of them already know the process. And, you know, there's a beginning, middle, and end. And you take people on this adventure. Maybe it's a one-off, maybe it's a chapter arc, whatever it might be. And so that is the fulfilling part, really, when you think about merging RP and content creation. And so using the journals as a way to kind of wrap up their experience to demonstrate they kind of get it really is important.
That's cool. Did you want to add anything, Tom?
Sorry. Yeah. So along with that, you know, comes with our character story. Many times it's really neat to have a character who we can incorporate into RP. Like Scald said, a lot of times we'll have a loosey-goosey idea.
Right.
But then as we get to know the other members of the 5.0 and the other cadets, we can kind of flesh out our relationships through that. And it's just really neat getting together and kind of growing as a person with the people around us.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know I have characters that I role play with. I mean, that's literally, they all have like full-blown backgrounds and meanings and purposes to their being. And every time I play, like I have in mind like what they're doing. And whenever I start to play, knowing like if I have an idea of what I want to do that day, I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring Colleen with me because she's better at this, or I'm going to bring, you know, Mags with me because she's the one who's going to be more likely to do this thing or whatever. So I get that. And I've always loved what you guys do, but tell me about, so you go through your cadet and then what happens after you do all this? What's next?
Monty, you want to take that over?
Here,
Come on,
let me
Mama,
just
tell us.
unmute myself for a second, but yeah, after that you go into your private period, and that doesn't mean to say privacy wise, but more that's your next rank up. And once you get there, you get to pick what job you want to do. Maybe you want to be a recon, maybe you want to be in the division of medical staff, or you'd like to be a fire breather. And
Okay,
you just
that makes
kind of
sense.
develop that area, and then you go and train. There you go.
So
Why
you
don't you-
like choose your adventure, like choose your path.
Right. And we culminate that whole like transition from cadet to private about the bridge walk. Money, did you want to talk a little bit about the bridge walk?
Oh yeah, the bridge walk. I see a lot of pictures. You gotta tell me
Yeah.
about that.
It's kind of a big
Yeah.
thing.
It looks like a big thing.
It
Tell us about
is. And so the bridge walk itself is this it's basically your graduation ceremony from cadet to private, and you taking this bridge walk is basically saying you're going from being a wastelander and you're crossing this bridge over into being a responder.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It does
and
look
uh,
like it. Yeah, with the
it
way
is,
you
it's
guys
big
line up
Nice.
the bridge with other people, and
Mhm.
You
know,
play
it's
like
a whole
really
thing.
emotional music when it happens.
Right,
too?
right. And so I
Yes,
write
I would love
write
to
the
know about this.
speeches. So I write the speeches for those,
wow.
and each group, each cadet has a unique speech. So every speech is tailored to them and whatever piece of music I'm listening to at the time. That kind of, I'm like, oh, this
That's
one
awesome.
fits for that class.
That's
So I
so
tend to
cool.
write the speeches. Especially if you hear
I'm
Corey
so
talking over Connor, it's
angel.
definitely a speech that I've written. But yeah, so I make they're all unique. All the speeches are unique for
I love that.
each bridge walk.
Well, that is neat because nobody like that way. It's not like the same. Oh, it's just another bridge walk. You know, we all have heard it before.
Welcome to Morgantown. Here you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, same
Yeah,
old, same
no.
old. Speaking of
Yeah.
Morgantown, apparently you guys have quite the thing going in Morgantown. So tell us about SOMO, the whole the thing you have to going there in Morgantown with you guys camps and stuff.
Wait, what's SOMO?
Is that not South Morgantown or whatever you guys? Is that
Oh.
not your thing?
No, we just call it Morgantown. We just call all of
Oh.
Morgantown Morgantown.
Okay.
Morgantown,
Maybe
It's
USA.
just all
Somebody
of
else.
Morgantown. We
Maybe
just
That's all
kind
the
of
commas.
Maybe that's somebody else.
Morgantown!
Morgantown.
It's okay.
Don't you guys have a bunch of camps in Morgantown?
We do
with all
have
your stuff?
some people do, yeah. So
Okay.
we have a couple different buildings in Morgantown. We have the HQ, we have the hospital, we have a forward operating base. We have a kind of a secondary, like a fire breather HQ there. We have a couple of people's personal buildings are in that area as well, and just on the outside we have Recon Tower 1. So yeah, so we populate around there, but honestly, not everybody has something there, because if the whole concept is, you know, responders and trying to do what we can to pick up the pieces, because that's kind of where we are kind of in our lore right now, is like everybody's fought it out and there's just smoldering remains again. And so, you know, we're just here. We're not going to get involved. Like, we're not trying to, you know, War of the Worlds kind of stuff. We're just here to pick up the pieces, and like what's left, we'll try to do something with. That's kind of how we're kind of angling our lore now, with kind of all the different pieces that Bethesda has dropped, and then we have kind of developed with our own lore over time. So some of us have buildings in different areas. Like, we have a forward operating base in Charleston, we have a recon tower in the Toxic Valley, and there's
That makes sense.
yeah, so it's all over. But yeah, but Morgantown, we tend to patrol and operate initially always in Morgantown, and then we spread out from there, because our quests and the things that we create are different events and quests, and some of the big lores and the pieces of machinima that we create, they don't just stay in Morgantown. In fact, we almost try to take people out of Morgantown unless it's a patrol, in order to do other areas with whatever's going on in the events, to really maximize what we can of the 76 map, however small it might be.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's the biggest map.
I know, it's weird.
just
It's the
seems so
biggest
small.
map, but it seems, I don't know. So
It does
I mean,
seem very small. So my responder character, of course, I'm on PC, but I tried to play very hard. I tried to play on Xbox because I wanted to be able to like join your guys' group and stuff like this. But I have an Xbox One, and I couldn't handle the load screens. I couldn't do it. It was horrible.
Filthy
So I
master
think
race.
I think, yeah. So I visited, I think, a couple times or something, and hung around with some people, but I think my character's like, I don't know, in the 20s or something on Xbox. One of these days I might dust her off again.
I mean, if you ever dust her off, feel free to pop over. We'll take you on a laggy tour of all things. We'll just wait for your
Exactly.
character to run in place for a little
Exactly,
bit. And
yeah,
then...
it's like, I'll be there eventually. I'm spinning, you know, it's something. But yeah, so on
I
PC.
think Romer has a question.
He's raising his hand. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Romer.
So with that being discussed, so are you guys exclusive to just like one console or PC, or do you guys do?
We started on PlayStation, and we just right before the winter holiday migrated to Xbox as well. So now we're on PlayStation and Xbox, but our home was PlayStation, and that's where we obviously have the biggest population and the biggest history and whatever. But Xbox, in the short time, Haley's been like 6 months maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you guys took us pretty late in the year, and I'm saying that in continuation of where Houston was a little later than I was. So
right,
I was already pretty early. I'm trying to think.
It was like the end of summer, because
yeah, it had to be the end of summer. I could not tell you a month.
So end of summer, and now we are exponentially growing on Xbox as well. So you know.
Didn't you have
So
a
just those
loose
two.
presence on Xbox for a while, and then you
We
just kind
did.
of like joined up with Pombe?
Well, we didn't really join up. We've tried twice before in the past with Xbox, but it just didn't take off. It just didn't work. And we were all at that time also running Xbox Ones, which you know, there's all sorts of weird audio issues with the Xbox One, and so it made it really difficult, because we do most of our stuff in area chat, which is, you know, most people are like, what's going on? That's really weird, and we call them
Should've
RP
just gone
Curious.
PC from the beginning.
Well, I suppose someday,
I haven't had any
yeah.
issues since I moved over. I'm just saying.
But this time it stuck, and so we're like, let's go for it. And so we do stuff with Palm-Based Arson Group. Like we have a collab what we're running right now with them called the Dusty Wings collab, but we only kind of meet up to do those things very particular. So like it's not a we haven't like neither group is like integrated the other. Like it's like we want to make sure that the lore that they've created for their group is preserved. Like it's their lore, and we're guests if we jump into their story at the time, and that we recognize that, just like if they jump into our story at the time, they're guests in our story, because when you have your group, your RP group, you have the things that you guys decide are going to be lore for your group or lore for your game. And not everybody agrees with that, right? Like, so like, especially for example, if you guys have camps in the same spot, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like that.
Like who's gonna
when
move?
It comes to, we kind of just like, we kind of like fuzzy out those sorts of things when, when we play with other groups, like, oh, just ignore all that other stuff. Like, we're just here for the RP.
Yeah.
Suspend your
sure.
disbelief a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Little bit.
Magic, finger waving, distraction.
Exactly. Yeah, cool. Well, let me see. I think that's what I had for before the break. Anybody got any questions about this part, or is there anything that any of you all want to add about this? Anybody about the process of getting into the group or doing role-play? Tom, speak.
Yes. Okay. So I started out as a volunteer, and I was just kind of getting to know a few of the people here and there. I didn't really want to fully invest my time into it. I was, I'm still right now I'm a supervisor at work, so I'm, having to juggle some stuff. So I wasn't ready to really commit 100%, but getting to know the people in the group, it really kind of it really encouraged me to get in there, and I'm so glad that I did. Going from volunteer to a cadet, meeting all these wonderful people, and having an awesome time in the game. And so yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm a volunteer too. I have like my whole card and everything. So I am a volunteer, but I'm on PC. I am going to try, I don't know when the end of it is, but I signed up that I was interested in doing the scouting mission that was on the Discord. I did intend to do that, but I have not been on since the update because I heard that everybody's over encumbered, and I'm like, oh Lord, I can't play like that because my girl's camp is in Morgantown. Like she lives in the family home that is just off of the road that's next to the farm that leads into Morgantown. So like she'd have to walk way the heck over to the Savage Divide because this girl walks. She doesn't fast travel. Not that I could anyway, because she's probably going to be like 2,000 pounds or something ridiculous, because I do all the weight reduction. So it's like, oh God, I haven't even gotten in there to look at it. So yeah, it's going to be crazy, but that's something for the weekend.
I want to hear what Alex Midnight has to say.
Yes, Alex, let's hear from you.
Well, the process to get into Fallout 5.0 is somewhat easy, not somewhat easy, but for, you got to prove your loyalty and prove that, first, when you start off as a volunteer, like I did, I started off as a volunteer a long time ago when I first met Lucy, Malamotis, and Commander when I was in World. It was a long time ago, but as I began to get to know them and stuff, I realized this is the group for me, and this is a really awesome group with all these awesome people and all these content creators. That when we're doing our RP in World, it actually helps bring life to the game when people were saying that the game wasn't there and was dying out, when technically all of us RPers are bringing more life to it and helping show people if there's actually a good side to 76.
And that's the thing, right? Because so many people are like, Fallout 76 is dead. Why don't they give us more content? And yeah, all of us are out there just like making our own content. And we're just like, whatever, we're having fun.
Cry
They
me
give
a
us a
river,
big
need to
sandbox
swim.
and we're doing whatever. Yeah,
Right.
because so many people are just making their own. And it's like, the limit is literally your imagination.
I have to interject. My funniest story about Alex, and I have to tell this story, Alex, is we were doing, it was when we had kind of the I can't believe I'm about to say this, the fallout from the interaction of like the Bandit Town bombing, and in game there was some RP between the Vultures and the Order of the Lamp, who are like teaming up and doing all the things. And they were RPing, and Alex just in his, we call it wee woo armor, the responder power armor. We call it wee woo armor. We just walked over to them, and it just, all their heads just turned, and he just quickly just nope right on out. Because in the world when we're playing an RP, like we treat we're 90% of the time in character. So if he had stayed, it's very likely that they would have RP'd. This is a responder on their territory. It was just a funny moment when that happens. So
don't blame him one bit.
So, question: you have to prove your loyalty. So what? It's like one day it's like, hey, Trader Jim, he hasn't paid his dues. You got to go take care of him for us.
Right.
Is that what's going on?
You have to kill the thing you love most to prove your loyalty.
It's more like, can you survive PT with my character?
There you go.
So
we do. There's not the mafia.
Right. Not the mafia. Yeah,
not the family.
I think, yeah. So it's more like I run the PT classes, and they border on the ridiculous. What I try to make the characters do in character.
Oh yeah, I can speak to that. I can speak to that immediately.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'll let you speak to it.
Well, I'm just saying, because I mean, I shouldn't say Lucy in this case. I should be saying Selena has made in this case the Xbox cadets. If you know the bridge that towers over Flatwoods, we've had to climb the beams on that one. We've had to do the ridiculous ropes course near the other one.
They have to take a Radex. So they have to take a Radex whenever they do this stuff.
we a couple of, I think it was like a month ago, I'm probably getting that wrong, we had to do the military training course, and then a couple of weeks back we had to, the Watoga monorails had a couple of squish incidents. I could not do it, so it was just me watching my fellow cadets go squish.
Squish.
So yeah, that really is what it is can you survive? Nobody ever dies in the game. You're just like rendered unconscious and need aid, even if you fell from the rails. Well, we let characters kill themselves off, in the sense that if they want to end their character arc, they can write up whatever they want for that. And
Yeah, because I mean, I've had like with my RP group, we'll have characters that are like, they'll become 70 some odd years old. So what we'll do is we'll end up killing off that character, and then their son will start going in the ranks, or somebody else will, and they'll start over again rank wise, and go right back through the system. And
so we actually just had a guy who killed off his character, and his son is now in the responders. So, but yeah, we play it. If you go down, like in a fight, if we're doing organic RP or an event that has PvP, because we do PvP events, you're rendered unconscious, you're knocked out. And then, but if somebody, because we've had some responders that have through events decided that the outcome of the event would be, because things went the way they did, sometimes it sucks.
Our paladin killed himself, so we ended up with a new paladin. I mean, we changed leadership at that moment. Like, we ended up with a new paladin, and then our old paladin started off as a recruit, as he's now a knight, so he's working his way back up into the ranks. But it's interesting to have that dynamic happening, to where you can the immersion's the most important part to us. So I get how you guys are doing what you're doing, and how you like making sure you take a Radex so that you don't super jump, because I have like every mutation.
Right.
So it would take you out of the immersion seeing me, jump over a building. So, and we don't allow any kind of legacy weapons or anything like that. You have to use no upgraded type of stuff. It's just regular standard.
That's how our custom world PvP events are.
Yeah.
You turn everything off. I'm just like, turn it all off.
We're okay with the armor, just because
no, we turn everything off.
Yeah.
Even legendary perk cards.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to take a break right now, and then we'll come back with more about the Fallout 5.0.
Ever wanted to be a content creator but had no clue where to begin? Come join me as I sit down with content creators that have already faced the challenges you're up against, as they discuss the tips and tricks that help them be successful, here on The Content Creator's Guide. available wherever podcasts can be found.
All right, we are back from break. So we're gonna just real quick. We are with the Fallout 5.0, the New Responders role-playing group, and we are talking about. Actually, now I want to talk about getting creative, like the creative aspect of your group. So let's talk about, you guys have been talking about how you role play, and then you write different role play scenarios for your people, and how you write those things for like your cadets and everything else. What other scenarios do you write? Do you have special, you said you do like special things that you write for people to participate in. So is that, okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna say maybe Valerie, you want to speak to that for a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we do make a lot of different quests for everybody to play. Everybody in Discord can make quests. One thing that I like to do is, say, go into a custom world. I'll do a lot of written role play that leads into various quests that you can play online. So you might go into custom world and create some kind of event that forwards the written story. So maybe players go in and they have a fetch quest. They have to go get some sort of items for whatever character, or they have to look for clues. I love putting clues in little places for people to find. Or you create some kind of a PvP zone to forward a quest, and whatever the result of the PvP is, what direction the next stage of the quest goes. So really what you create for players is pretty much open to your imagination. Everybody does something a little bit differently. I just like to mix it up between doing written, between doing things in game, between doing organic RP, and I'll stage a lot of quests based on things like an organic RP, and I'll tend to do things that last forever. So you'll end up to do like 5 or 6 different quests to finish a storyline. I've actually got a place in custom right now that's just waiting for the quest to drop, where people will come in and poke around and get clues and interact with a character that's actually set up in the custom world for them to meet. So it depends on what your imagination is, what you want to do. We have players that do quests to introduce aspects of their own character and give the group a chance to meet that character. And then once they do, maybe they bring that character into organic RP or to Armory, and then they further that characterization of that particular character. I'm not sure what else to say, really, except for, the sky's the limit. As long as it sort of makes sense in the Fallout universe.
Are the quests timed?
It depends on the quest. Generally, if you go in, say one of my quests, I'll say maybe we're going to be poking around this place for about an hour and a half. Then again, the sky is the limit for what you do. You can do a timed quest, absolutely. Or you can run something, say, for about a week, where people can go in individually on their own or group up and, say, investigate an area, patrol an area, maybe write a report on what they found, and so forth. So it just depends, really, on what you want to create, what you want to do with your characters and with your story.
Yeah, like a good example is like when the alien event happened for the first time, the alien invasion. So we spent some time building a community event, essentially. Like we did a quick machinima for it to kind of background, like what's going on. We need information. How do we handle the alien sort of a deal? And we had this whole series of quest logs, essentially, that we played kind of up to the buildup. And then the final part was people going out on whatever system and, participating in the event, taking pictures and writing and sending those pictures in and kind of writing in character about their experiences. And we framed it with the idea of the more entries we had, the greater our Appalachian preparedness would be to handle the invasion. So that was kind of like the community event. From the side of just the 5.0, I ended up then writing a whole secondary part, this tinfoil hats sort of quest line that sprung out of it as well, where I kind of parallel things that were happening from the game. I then took, and then I had it's a whole two-part investigation quest where the responders or volunteers or cadets, whoever it was with me at the time, we went from location to location, and they would get there and they would have to look for something or decipher something. And sometimes they made really bad choices. And no one will forget the chainsaw of friendship. That did not go well for one group. They make their choices.
That's still a running joke.
Yeah, it's a running joke.
Story.
Yeah. So, you know, they make their choices, and I have, and so does Mamamotus, and any quest maker really has, like, if they choose this happens. You know, it's like a choose your own adventure. So you present them a couple opportunities. And sometimes, you know, they choose an action. I'm like, ooh, okay, all right, well, here we go, you know. And so they develop that whole piece of lore on the backside. So that's an example of using both kind of like what we designed for the community at large, and then taking what was happening in the game, things that were happening in the game, like objects in the game, stationary things like the mysterious pillars. That's what we used as part of that tinfoil hats quest. And just running this event, and it's part of the lore that they got to experience. We sometimes use dice as well. You know, that just kind of depends on who's made the quest. So sometimes we use dice events or dice aspects to our events as well, because who doesn't like a little bit of random chaos? And yeah, and so like the events really can, like she said, they really can range for whomever they're made, and they can be one-offs, they can be for the community at a large. Like you Sassy, you see the one right now in our Discord, that's kind of a, you know, for the Discord community at large, go patrol this area, right back in. And sometimes they're a little bit more complex, where we do like go to this area, investigate Hopewell Cave, and then we'll drop you some more mission lore after we go X amount of time. Here's the next kind of thing that you learn. So it's kind of like, you know, 2-minute videos that also play into whatever that is you were investigating. Because, like, let's be honest, we've all been everywhere on this map, right? Like, we've been everywhere by this point. And so it's a matter of how can you use what's there in a unique way, but also like a lore friendly way, you know, so that you're honoring kind of the existence of what is Fallout 76 for whatever it is, but you're also saying, okay, I'm going to use, like I said, like the mysterious pillars based off a real place down south. In our lore, we turned it into something that was pretty major for the tinfoil hats quest, and that's how it will always be for us whenever we go there now. And so we kind of remade it into something a little bit different, but still, obviously, it's terribly mysterious, those pillars.
You take the canon and you make it your own.
To a degree, like we don't go, like we're not going to go crazy. Like the Brotherhood is in Atlas. I mean, that's where they are. Why wouldn't they be there, right? So they're there. Crater is Crater. Foundation is Foundation. But you know, we don't necessarily say that we can't use the mechanics of the game or stationary things, small things. Yeah,
that's what I was
further tell. Yeah, to further tell the deeper lore stories that we want to tell.
Yeah, we do some similar things. Like right now, we're actually in Crater, and we've disguised ourselves as like a mercenary group, and we got ourselves hired by Meg at Crater, so that we're trying to get intel on some nuclear bomb stuff that they have, and we're Brotherhood of Steel, so we don't want them to have that, but we're trying to get intel on that stuff. So right now we're working for Meg to try to get ourselves on the good side of the Raiders and So I get it totally, but yeah, we've utilized the same kind of things.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's an effective way, it's a fun way, and and that's really the big thing, are people having fun, even if it's like a tragic story. Like, because trust me, that we have plenty of silly ones, funny things happen, but we also have had some really tragic story arcs as well. So at the end of the day, we always debrief, though. At the end of any RP session, we all debrief and we're like, how's everybody feeling? Any questions? Let's make sure we're all on the same page, because that's important, especially if it's been like a more serious event.
Oh, so you debrief out of
character, we debrief. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we debrief in character in regards to a military debrief.
Right. We as role players, we debrief afterwards and just like, hey, is everybody good? Any questions?
That makes sense. Nothing more immersion breaking than in the middle of
does
the next
anybody
mission,
need a tissue?
All right.
Argue over what happened last time.
Like I say, we roll, and all these guys here will attest to it. Like, we roll pretty much 90%. Like people will talk to us in the game and they'll, you know, obviously not be in character. And we're like, what's role play? Like, we don't know what that is. Or like, I'm trying to think of
this
some
is
other
serious
ones that are-
business.
We refer
What's
to
a
anybody
legacy?
that isn't one of us
What's a
as civilians.
server?
Hey,
All right.
I don't
Like,
know what you're
how
talking
you
about. What do you
doing there,
mean
civilian?
gamer
What's
tag?
up?
I don't know what that means.
Yes, I don't know what that is.
That's pretty good. So it's like when you go to, gosh, there was a place, I grew up in Indiana. There was a place called Conner Prairie. And if you talked to them, they were always in character. And it was always like the 1800s. If you talked to them, they would just give it right. Like, they'd be like, where are you from? And be like, I'm from Zionsville. And they were like, did you travel here on horseback? That's a fair piece west. And it's like, it's literally like 20 minutes away. But I mean, it's like, that was like wild. But yeah, it's really funny to try and get them right character, and they don't. They just don't. But I love how all of your quests and everything that like feeds your lore. Like everything just like whatever happens becomes, because I remember, okay, so going into your machinima now, you guys actually did that Battle of Big Bend, and you guys were like, whatever happens, that's, you know, because you didn't you guys go into it as, we're gonna PvP this, and whoever wins, this is it, this is where the story goes.
Sure. Monty, you want to speak to that?
Yes. So the Battle of Big Bend I wasn't actually there as much as a few of the others were, actually came in afterwards, but it's been reiterated for tenfold, I would have to say, on that one. But the consequence, or as we could say, where the lore went on that, was whatever side won, they were either going to get a prisoner or something was going to happen in that case to impact the lore. It was a very lore impacting quest. We've had several of those over the years. It feels like decades, but it's only been like 4 years.
Yeah. So when the lore there is that we were looking for a virus for Modus called Modvir, because Commander Johns doesn't trust Modus, because who does, right? And like Monty said, there, you know, we wanted to have an event for our members that was lore impactful. And so we went to the social community and we're like, hey, are there any raiders out there who want to, you know, who want to try this event, essentially, that's going to help us dictate our lore? And that's how we stumbled upon the Vultures. And it really was. It was just like you said, the outcome essentially was going to determine, you know, where our lore went. We had no idea, none, of what was going to happen. And so we set up an agreement of tact. And this is when you still had survival servers. So
right,
we did this in a survival world of all places. So perspective there. And it was 4v4, and everybody else was a spectator. And it was, everybody had 3 lives. There was restrictions to how many stim packs they had, how many grenades they could have. And I mean, there's all these different pieces, right? And both sides, we could work together to agree on that. And then we had the fight, and we won. And I think we were as surprised as they were. And so because of that, we kind of were like, hey, let's take some pictures of like the warlord looking like he's in custody, you know, because you've put the military pose on and it looks like you're in custody, you're in handcuffs. And then we're like, wait a second, that's actually not a bad idea. So we couldn't find Modvir. Like, there was a bag in Big Bend Tunnel that was supposed to have like the prize in it, the Modvir virus. And if either team found it, they would automatically win. It's kind of like that little bonus. And so, but nobody found it. And so we were like, well, not only do we now have Warlord in custody, we didn't find Modvir. So now we've got this, here we are 4 years later, and we're finally maybe gonna find Modvir.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it's been a reoccurring thing for us as we kind of go through the machinima, as we go through the in-game quests, as Mama Modus helps work those quests as well with Ray. It's just this idea that, because they really built that side of things together for the Modvir aspect, and it's just been a wild ride ever since. But that's how in-game events dictate dictate the lore. I mean, it's kind of it's
What
crazy.
gave y'all the idea to film it and turn it into a film to make the machinima?
That's a really good question. I think it kind of stemmed from, we had all this footage. It looked really cool in the tunnel. The original footage is just explosions everywhere. We got one guy with a flamethrower because he's got friendly fire on. That's, he's keeping everybody up. And, you have the giant in his power armor just like running on fire and our people just chasing after him because he was the last man standing. So there's just like this great footage. And we're like, wouldn't it be interesting if, what do you do like with a raider that you've captured that's responsible for all things? And wait a minute, what if you actually knew him from before? Like, what if these people knew each other from the vault? Like, how do you reconcile that? Because at that time there were no NPCs, right? It was just everybody from 76 is out walking around. So they probably know each other. And we're like, what if then we just try to see what happens when you put a raider on trial? And like, just the rest is history.
I actually read about that in an article on Polygon.com.
Did you?
I did. Oh,
yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That was our Polygon article. Yeah.
That's a big deal. I never saw the footage. What was the outcome of the trial? Did you like off the warlord dude?
So what happened? What happened was we basically, the Appalachian state government got involved, and we had some trial footage. Like Kenny from the Chad podcast voiced Simon as one of the witnesses, and we had Howie from Appalachia Howie. Yeah. He was actually a witness giving a deposition. Yeah. And so I'm running through the woods with all the vultures after him.
You got Kenny in on something? That guy almost never has time.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we were all kind of hooked up and doing stuff together pretty much from the beginning. I mean, he was right there at the beginning with us.
Well, that was in 2019, right? So
yeah. So I mean,
Simon, he wasn't that busy yet then.
Not that busy yet. Yeah. Simon Rex is a figure in our lore, just like the 5-0 are a figure in Simon's lore. Right. So that's kind of how intertwined they are. And so yeah, so the Appalachian state government got involved because they didn't like the fact that the lawyers were being threatened by raiders, and so they got involved and they just said no more trial. He's just gonna rot in prison. We don't know what we're gonna do with him yet. And then lawyers. Yeah, so no trial was ever finished.
Okay.
Imagine the judge being like killed off, probably. Yeah.
It was still a really cool moment, especially me as like a gamer growing up, seeing that like, man, this RP group that you guys started is now like in journalism at this point.
Yeah, we've been in a few. Yeah, it's cool to see it. It's weird. It's a little weird too sometimes,
isn't it?
I don't know how the rest of the 5-0 feel about it when they read about themselves. So.
And we got one in Forbes as well. So like it's crazy. I love it. It gives me inspiration as like a gamer and a creator.
I mean, I can say it was so before I joined up, that was when the articles really started coming out. So you can really only imagine all the way, almost a year ago, my reaction to being like, oh, these guys have articles written about them now. They're important people.
It is pretty cool to see people in the community like having things recognition, like that, which is pretty neat.
If you get enough lore from the perspective of the Fallout 5.0 and all the stories that you guys have told, do you guys ever think you will collocate that together and maybe like release it in some form, hardcover book, maybe? Fingers crossed.
Is your name? Yeah, is your name Kenny? He gets on me about writing everything down together as one big thing.
I mean, like, there's people who would like it. I mean, I'm sure you've got talented like artists in the group who would be able to help like make artwork for it. I'm sure you could.
Everybody's
that
got
would
their
be.
strength. Yeah.
I'd pay money for it. I'm just saying.
Well, IP rights and all that stuff, Fallout. So can't make any money off of it.
They'd have to get approval from Bethesda, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I do keep. I'm sure everybody here that writes. I know Valor does, and I can only speak for myself though. I keep everything I write. I save it all. Google Docs, you are my friends.
Yeah, good or bad.
Good or bad. I mean, sometimes you go back to the bad and you're like, okay, it wasn't that bad. I'll just take that part that was really good, really bad, out of the bad.
So what other partnerships have you guys made? I know I think I've worked with you the most as just doing stuff for the Wasteland Theater.
Sure.
I think that's the most that I've had, because I've actually been able to do that kind of remotely the first time, and then the second time with the Shakespeare Sonnet Festival, you guys made it cross-platform so that it was able to be done live from every platform. So I was
that
able
was
to
really
be
cool.
live. That was very cool. I was happy. The first time I just recorded, and then the second time, like, you know.
Well, Alex is one of the Wasteland Theater actors as well.
Oh,
You want to
yeah.
share some of your thoughts and experiences working with Northern Harvest and crew?
I give my thoughts and experience if give me a second. Yeah. Put it on the spot, but that's okay. Yeah, but the Wasteland Theater Company isn't actually that bad. They're actually a really good, cool group in here. You know, it feels like a real theater. It feels like a real production. It's pretty much going to it like it is actually a real production, because North takes his time with those scripts. He takes like 2 or 3 months to write a script at least, and go into a lot of rehearsals, and then finally we set a show date, and the show date is set in stone. But yeah, when we are going through, we always try to go through as much as we can to get it right, so we don't have to keep doing it over and over again. Sometimes we don't get it right, sometimes we do. It's all, yeah.
Right now.
And we're always right. Shh, it's always. I'm kidding. I totally missed a bunch of lines. The last one. That's live theater.
Live theater.
That's live
Yeah,
theater.
live theater is
You
cool,
have
though.
to. That's where the improv comes in. Just keep
Absolutely.
going.
Yeah, so
Keep going.
we've worked with them. Monty's actually really helpful with that too, because you know, random spawns, nothing like a rad scorpion horde or rad toad horde or
somebody's gonna keep the uninvited guest out.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't, it's
protect the
interesting.
actors.
So that was our big concern when we first started, I think, as a group. And then we were like, we just carried on, and then they just kind of end up sitting in the audience quietly listening. It's really
good audiences though, a lot.
So, you know,
I think it would
but
be
yes.
neat to run across somebody doing a
I
play.
think so. You know, like 80% of the time people are cool.
I think it would be pretty cool. I would love to run across one of the productions, but like I said, I have to get a different platform. But I would love to be in one time. So if y'all can ever do anything on PC, it would be awesome. I would love it.
Well, I will take that to him. I'm sure he knows. I mean, you know, he's so yeah, we're excited. We got the Alice in the Wasteland coming.
I know that's gonna be really fun. I loved the Christmas Carol. That was really good. And that was pretty ambitious. You guys actually had like set changes and stuff.
I don't know how she did that. I mean, I was marveling every time she was in a Chinese stealth suit and she was changing everything like on the fly. And I was like, it's crazy. It's crazy. She's crazy talented to be able to like the curtains and then so yeah, hats off to her. She's doing this. I believe she's doing the stage again for Alice in the Wasteland.
I would imagine.
So we,
that's pretty cool that you guys do that too.
And then we, obviously through the Machinima, we have the different factions that we've worked with over the 4 years.
Right.
And then on Xbox, we're do collabs with Arson and Sigma Squad. And then, a lot of the voices over the years in the 5.0 community have been in different podcasts as different figures. So there's that.
You're in a couple, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So I'm in the Chad Fallout podcast. I play Corey in that to raise Connor, as well as Old Lady Simpson and her like bad knees. And then I'm Lilith in the Modus Files, and then I play Amanda Otis in Once Upon a Wasteland.
Right.
So, and I've been in a couple of the shorts that Kenny's done for other things. And but yeah, so we believe, like, one of our kind of concepts or beliefs, or one of the things that kind of drive us is about like it's the pool is big enough for everybody, right? And that we should all be like viewing it as like, how can we support each other in their creative endeavors, right? Like, how can we uplift or help another group? How can we uplift or help another content creator? Like, what can we do? Even if it's small, even if it's just something on social media, we're like, we'll be there to retweet and like support you. Or if it's something bigger in the game that we can help you with, like, do you need extras? Yeah, we can be an extra. Like, I mean, right now there's a call out in our Discord now for some extras for a Machinima.
I saw that.
So yeah, so that's what we do. Like we don't, it's not about everybody, like the pool is this big. The pool is, giant, and everybody should just be enjoying it together.
Yeah, and I love, cooperating with other people and other groups is always a good way to be in the wasteland anyway. Is there anything else that you guys want to discuss, point out, bring up? Any other questions from my guys? Anybody? Did you have a question that you wanted to ask, Ginger?
It was answered already because I wanted to know what the outcome of the trial was.
Oh.
It was hung jury, literally
It was
a hung jury.
There you go. That classic
jury.
wasteland style.
Right, they're
Literally a
hanging on
hung
the
jury.
wall outside of a raider camp right now.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if you can answer it or not, but I'll ask anyways. Do you have any projects in the work or things coming up in
Yeah,
Fallout
we
5 that you
do.
can tease? I know maybe you don't want to say everything, but
I
like give a
saw
little
something
teaser.
teased today on Twitter.
Yeah, so we're, wrapping up the Trial of the Warlord. We're filming. We actually have tomorrow night. We're doing some filming for a scene in that. So we're bringing it all to a close with this last piece, and it's big. It's big. I use Studio Binder when I write my scripts, and sometimes I just put on like the PDF view, and I'm like, oh geez, there's so many pages. Just as I go through it and like tweak a few things, because sometimes you start filming and you're like, oh no, that's I need to go back to that scene and redo that scene, or something happens and I need to redo, some pieces here or there, and that's fine. But yeah, so we have that. That's pretty much our big focus right now. And then we have these two and some other lovely cadets who are about to walk the bridge. So we have
Yay, I can
that.
finally stop. For the last couple of months, I've been going through the Morgantown River. I have not been allowed
Yeah,
to
they're
cross
not
the
allowed.
bridge.
That's it. They're not allowed to cross
Yeah.
the bridge into Morgantown.
Oh, really?
They're not allowed to use it.
So,
Now, if they use
alright.
it when I'm not looking, whatever. But
Forbidden.
Good job,
it is
guys.
forbidden in character for them to
Oh,
walk
wow.
Okay, what
across
song
that
are you gonna
bridge.
pick?
They can't even
I
like
don't
go around through
know.
the airport.
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's other ways into the airport. I mean,
Okay.
so sometimes
So
they
much
just go through the
Abraxo
water.
used to clean the
Yeah.
uniform. So much.
But I don't know yet. Usually it's a sweeping score that starts usually slow and builds with a crescendo. So
I recommend
and that actually
symphonic folk metal is my go-to. I would say that.
send me some samples. Who knows what I can
Sure.
actually sometimes the word spirit moves me with different things, and I'm like, that works. I can do it. So definitely send me stuff. Let's see things that we're doing. Well, we just wrapped up things like we did the cosplay, the big meetup cosplay in
That looked
DC, and that was
fun.
so much fun. I can't even, I've never done something like that before. I had my oldest daughter help me do my costume. She's an artist. I was like, help me. But that was so much fun. Meeting Wes Johnson
Are you
was
planning
amazing.
on doing that again, or?
It's definitely something that people in the area, because now we're in touch with people in the area, they're like, we should make this annual. And I mean, it's just literally like the metro is like 10 minutes away from us. So, sure, come October, let's talk. Well, maybe before October, but yeah,
'cause
it's
you're
definitely
like-
on the
you're
radar
like
to
4.5, 5 hours from me or something. I was
Sure,
like, I
it's
should
just
come.
it's a quick car ride for you. That's nothing. Just put on one of the podcasts and just play it straight
Exactly.
You guys are gonna get big, and you're gonna have your own convention pretty soon. At this
Exactly.
point.
And I
Fallout
just-
5 convention.
I wanted to go this year, but I worked and it was like way too late to ask for time off. I mean, I have to know like months ahead to get
Mhm.
time off. And it was just one of those things. It's like, oh, everybody's doing this thing. Wow, that looks really great. Too late to get time off.
Right.
So if I know it's coming this year, then I will be able to ask for time off in time. Whenever you guys have a date, let me know.
Okay. Well, I will as soon as you'll probably know about the same time I know.
Okay.
So we got that. That was a ton of fun, of course. And I was really excited to do the St. Jude stuff with everybody. That was a lot of fun. And I don't know. I mean, we're always looking to expand with other communities in the sense of doing collabs like what we do with Arson. Again, we're not trying to get on, entwined between lore, because that's just confusing. And we look for these touchstone moments where we can have a story or a chapter where we kind of RP that moment or that story, and then you guys for a couple weeks do your own thing and we do our own thing, and then we come back and we're just focused on that story. We're not really worried about like the larger issues of the lore and RP and Appalachia. It's just whatever the narrative arc is, like with the Dusty Wings with Arson and Sigma Squad right now. So does anybody, like Monty, Valerie, Haley, you guys want to jump in, say anything?
I'm eating cookies here.
What kind of
rolling her
cookies?
eyes?
What cookies?
Ever since you brought those cookies up, I'm hungry.
Yeah,
They have pineapple in them, right?
Pineapple cookies.
No, pineapple cookies.
Just seeing how big we've gotten and how much how the community interacts with us. Like I said, as we go through the world, oftentimes we'll come across newer players who might need help with a specific quest or a boss enemy they want to take down, and so it's always nice to be able to go in and help out other players, and then them get to know the 5.0, and if they want to be a volunteer, if they want to at some point be a cadet, it just opens them up to get to know a little bit of us, and it's really cool going around and kind of being the community of Fallout 76, going around and seeing all these different people, giving people we do requisitions and stuff. If someone needs a certain item, plastic or lead or something like that, if someone has access, we'll usually help them out in that sense. So it's really awesome seeing just how big the community is and how interactive everything is.
I think I would probably add to that it's really also awesome to see a person's character and story develop, especially people who are really shy about coming out and actually showing their stuff. When I first started 76, I didn't do a lot of interaction with other players, and if somebody came up to me and asked for a trade invite, I'd switch servers because I'm like, nope, don't want to. Don't wanna talk to you. So, and
people.
Now here I am doing this. So watching somebody actually come out of their shell and share something that is really worth sharing and worth celebrating and worth watching grow, I think is completely worth it. And seeing these stories throughout various communities, being a part of that's why we're all here, to not only have fun with the game, but to help people grow and take things with them once Fallout 76 goes whatever direction it goes to other games. We all benefit from this experience and we all grow from it, and it's an amazing, absolutely wonderful thing to see happen.
It is. That is really cool. And I'm sure as you guys being like writers and kind of, it's like bringing up your kids, kind of seeing them develop and grow and, sending them out the nest and everything.
I mean, kind of copying off of what Val was just saying. I didn't start RP in the traditional format. I started with para role playing. So I started off in a very kind of hands-off way of where I wasn't so much doing organic stuff, and it was more me piggybacking off of other people via writing. So this is kind of a getting out of my shell experience, which is both amazing and wonderful.
Well, and maybe that's how you learn, right? Maybe that's how you figure out what this whole role play mess is about.
I mean,
that's pretty cool.
How about you, Monty? You want to share any final thoughts real quick?
Well, should I share them in this voice or should I share them in the other one?
I mean, you
Share
share
him in
in
the other
whatever.
one.
Oh, let's
Share
share
in
it.
whatever
Let's
voice
hear
you
what-
like.
Let's see how much you got there.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I could say, but well, there is a little project that I've been working on with Ray, where I've actually been doing cover songs either in that voice or in this voice, and we may be sharing some of those very soon.
Wow.
He plays a ghoul. So
I'm
you know,
impressed that you can keep up that ghoul
was
stuff. I mean,
good.
that would kill my
I
throat.
hate ghouls. I
Mhm.
hate everything. Somebody likes ghouls,
That was
you know?
good. I like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
he's our resident ghoul expert. In fact, it's part of our lore now. We don't actually refer to ghouls as ghouls when we're like going down and patrolling Morgantown and a bunch of feral ghouls stand up. We don't shout ghouls. So it's actually become a really kind of funny, redundant joke that is like for us, is this like, oh, we know, Monty, don't call
You're
them
just a bunch of dirty
ghouls.
girls.
What do
Right.
you
So we
call
call
Oh,
them
girls. Sorry.
we call them ferals.
Bad
Oh,
ghouls.
okay.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah. It's this funny, like it's this amusing thing that's kind of just been a part of us. We all have when you play, I think as long as we have together, some of us, there's these things that are just they're just a part of the everyday language, and that's kind of cool to see that. And the longer people play with us in the community, you start to just they have these idiosyncrasies that
Right.
just stick around, and it really does add flavor because we all can't be as as amazing in personality as Night Shin. So
Just like being with any other friend or something, another
yeah.
coworker or somebody that you just like learn all those little things about.
Right.
Somebody
So
you
yeah,
spend a lot of
so
time with.
like some other things I just was thinking of. So other things we've got, obviously we have Responders Undercover picking back up, which is where we go and we interview other communities. We have Dutch, our resident Dutch.
Oh, Dutch.
Go and it's really to highlight what they're doing. It's not, I mean, it's done loosely in character because Dutch is always in character.
Yes.
But it's to highlight like what they're doing in the community and to look at that. And then we're one of the things that we're focusing on as well, once we wrap up Trial of the Warlord, which the last iteration is called Dying to Live. Once we're done with that, I think we're going to be looking at going back to doing some kind of a hybrid of like in-game machinima and RP, like what we used to do with Responders Appalachia, kind of going back and exploring some of that again. And with the streaming with that. But yeah, so, we're just, again, looking just towards the future, see what we can do with what's available and, go from there. Like we've already built lore around Nuka World Tour. One of our members has like developed this multi-chapter sort of concept of what are they? They're like Nuka Cola worshippers. Help me out.
They're a coalition.
Coalition, yeah.
Coalition.
So and yeah,
That's
get
good.
it. Coalition. That's good.
That's good.
So this whole idea of them, he's created this whole series of events actually that's been building up, and the whole premise is using the Nuka World on Tour backdrop to kind of tell each chapter of the story to get it to where I guess we'll find out what's happening to these cola fanatics and why they're doing the things that they're doing, and maybe we shouldn't drink the Nuka Cola.
Oh yeah, well.
Gonna anyways.
we already know that.
I was about to speak to that.
Well, cool. So how does one find you guys if they're interested in joining or reading lore or whatever?
Well, on Twitter, on the Bird app, we are at FFIVE0. So that's our Twitter. That is a quick hit social media. But on you can find us. Our website is the word Fallout, the word 5, and then the number 0.com. And also on that website is all the information you could ever need. From like
everything. It's like a book.
There, I mean, in terms of like, if you're just trying to like, okay, well, how do I connect on social? How do I, find them and look at some of the responder, gosh, I just drew a blank for a second. The responder registry, the Flatwoods registry, where like you, Sassy, have that card,
volunteer,
like that's the volunteer cards and stuff like that. We sometimes put up lore pieces there. We'll put up pieces of machinima, so if we have machinima, that's the long piece. If we have something that's like 2 minutes or so. We call it Machinna Lore because it's just short enough you can put it on different socials, and it gives enough information to kind of, hey, this is what's going on in the lore right now. Here's a recap. So sometimes we'll put some Machinna Lore pieces up there as well. And then that website, like I said, has the links to our Insta, our Twitter, and our YouTube, where YouTube obviously is where all of our videos are housed that we've done. So you can watch the Trial of the Warlord and see how far we've come cinematically and our skill set there. Like when we did it, it was just pointing the camera in a direction and maybe spinning a little too fast. But 4 years later, I feel like we might have learned a few things.
Everybody gets better with time, right?
That's right.
It's all about refining your skills. Well, that's awesome, you guys. I really appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out with us tonight and telling us about yourself. And if you ever do make it to PC, I'll hook up with you for sure. I've got
Romer has his hand up.
Ooh,
Romer has his hand up. Yes, Romer.
I didn't want to interrupt. So, okay. All right. Sorry. I've been wanting to ask you guys this. So have you guys seen the pictures of the Red Rocket for the TV series?
Oh, I've seen them.
Yes.
They look amazing.
I'm so freaking excited.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I watched both episodes of The Last of Us from HBO Max. Watching that and seeing how well they did with that, I'm just like,
I know.
They got the details right down to the numbers, by the way.
Yeah,
the numbers on that real life
the
Red Rocket are
sign.
the same ones. Yeah.
It's identical to the game. Yeah. There's one of the guys in our server who lives near Nyack, and I'm like, go take pictures. He's the commander from the Brotherhood role-playing group that we interviewed.
Oh yeah.
And so he said he's going to get pictures for us because he's going to go visit. And I'm just like, yes. But it looks, everything that I'm seeing looks amazing. They've got the Red Rocket letters up there with some of them, have fallen out. So again, I appreciate y'all coming out. I know this is a big party. We had a lot of people. It was great. I think it was really good. It was really controlled. I think we managed. But I really appreciate everybody coming out. I appreciate all of you for your input and your feedback. And I had a good time, and I hope y'all had a good time.
Absolutely.
It was really great.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Definitely great.
And anytime anybody wants to roleplay in either the PlayStation or the Xbox, sorry, PC, you can look us up.
Well, apparently Eric was telling me in our chat that I can access them if I get on PC. I'll have to have him.
You can stream through Game Pass,
Nice.
and there's also a PlayStation streaming service that you can use, so you can get there.
You can use the Xbox Game Pass to play Fallout on the PC.
So I
and
gotta
it should
figure this
overlap.
out.
Yeah.
So I
'Cause
gotta figure this out.
The streaming
then.
service
Okay.
registers as a console, even though you're playing it through the streaming service. But anyways, that's besides the point. We're
All right.
outroing now.
I have to figure this out. Yes, we're outroing. We're trying.
We're trying to end this.
That's all right. That's what happens when you have a party, right? It's just so hard to go home. But so you can reach us at Fallout RTB on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube at Fallout Roundtable. Email us at falloutrtb@gmail.com. Send us your thoughts, your comments, whatever.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Yes, like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. All right. So everybody have a good night. Thank you all for being here. And it is a bunny. And we love you all. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.